Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I'm here to talk about the 100, episode 307, titled 13, which premiered Thursday, March 3rd, 2016 on the CW. And guys, 13 means so many different things in the 100, so let's get started right into it. 10-minute clock, let's begin. So what is something that we learned in this episode? We learned a bunch of stuff in this episode. First off, we learned about the history of Polaris and why it was being exiled from the Ark. So basically, Polaris is basically where Becca, the creator of Allie, the AI, that woman in the red dress type thing, she created her, and she was on the Ark on Station 13, Polaris, and she was trying to figure out a new version 2.0 for Allie. And basically, she was meant to be able to adapt into humanity and try to help prepare them and better create them and figure out a way for them to live in space for 200 years. Because apparently Allie version 1, the woman in the red dress, she's the one that launched all the missiles on Earth and created this nuclear apocalypse, killing billions of people on Earth, which Becca is kind of sort of blamed for. So in the end, Polaris was going to be joining the Ark, but the commander of Polaris wouldn't do it after learning about Becca's project and trying to recreate Allie 2.0. Until that thing was floated, he didn't feel comfortable connecting Polaris to the Ark, because then Allie 2.0 could very well turn into Allie 1.0, and he didn't want that infecting the systems on the Ark. So Becca refused to destroy her research, and instead she jumps on a pod and goes down to Earth moments before Polaris is destroyed by the Ark, as an example of defiance. And that's why they became the unspoken of 13th station. So that's why. And then Becca, she landed on Earth in what is now known as Polis. And we see with Becca that she had the scar on her neck that is later on made us to assume that she may be the very first commander, because Lexa also showed later on that she has the same scar on her neck, and I'll get back to it later. So on the ground, present day, it's Ascension Day for the commanders, but it's basically where Lexa was going to figure out who was going to be her successor. However, it's interrupted when the grounder village that Arcadia was targeting in the previous episode arrives. Simat in lead with Octavia as a prisoner of war. So basically, this is when Clark learns about Arcadia trying to attack the village and all that craziness, and Lexa orders no retaliation. Instead, she orders like a perimeter boundary type thing. She wants all armies from the 12 nations to surround Arcadia, forcing them inside the perimeter, and if anyone for Arcadia goes out of the perimeter, it's a kill order on them. But basically, the perimeter was meant to go in until the leadership inside Arcadia is fixed, because Clark told Lexa that there are people inside Arcadia, like Kane, like Octavia, who don't want Pike in charge. So unless Pike is pushed out of Chancellor, then they're going to have issues. So that's basically what the situation is there. So we have that. Because of this, the decision whether Clark is going to go back is up in the air. Octavia wants her to come back because they need her. So basically telling her that you need to come, we leave before dawn, and you have to say your goodbyes. Goodbyes for Clark led to her and Lexa kissing and sleeping together and all that. And shortly after that, when Clark was about ready to go meet with Octavia, she finds Murphy tied up in a room and with Titus with a gun. Titus tries to kill Clark, but instead he ends up killing Lexa. Whole thing happens, some revelations begin in that part, and that's just craziness right there. But another thing we learned, Arcadia is not even mentioned in this episode. So only Sky Crew members, Arkers that we see, are Octavia, Clark, and Murphy. So there's that. So most shocking moment of the episode, the fact that Lexa was killed, should have figured, but surprising that she was killed. But even more surprising was the fact that she had the artificial intelligence version 2 chip that Becca was working on 97 years ago. She had that in her neck, and Titus had to cut the thing out of it. And it was like some alive... It was alive, and it had strings that would attach to inside of Lexa's body. It was just crazy, really out of a... what does it remind me of? Something comes to mind, but I can't really put it on the tip of my tongue, but it was like it was alive in a really creepy way too, and then it just formed back into a chip. So that was the most shocking moment of the episode for me. So top 3 favorite moments of the episode. First one has to be the flashbacks to 97 years ago. Even though I'm still confused on what exactly that chip and that AI were supposed to, like what they were supposed to do and then what it actually does, it's still a little confusing, but it was great to see how this all started for them, how exactly the world went into a nuclear apocalypse. Allie, we blame you, and how it was supposed to go back on the Ark, and how they were supposed to figure out a way to better safeguard what they were trying to do up there. And apparently they were supposed to stay up there for 200 years. But with all the people they've saved up there, not enough genius minds are up there to figure out the problem for them. So, I don't know. I really like the flashbacks and the fact that we got to see how it all started on Earth. And yeah, so I just really like that. Next favorite moment for me has to be that Octavia got fed up with Clark. I really like that because I'm right there with Octavia. Like, for me, it frustrates me that Clark is still in Polis as the ambassador of Arcadia, which I personally think she has no right to being since she has been away from Arcadia for 3 months. I mean, as an ambassador, you're supposed to be someone who knows the in and outs of what you're being the ambassador for. You're supposed to know what the current situation is happening, and yet Clark hasn't been that person for 3 months. It would make sense if immediately after what happened in Mount Weather, then she went to Polis as the ambassador. Then okay. But no, she's been living alone in the woods for 3 months, and yet she's the ambassador, so she's fed up with that. She's been gone for 3 months. Octavia is fed up with the fact that Clark is choosing to stay behind instead of actually getting to the bottom of what's happening and Arcadia taking charge. So I really liked Octavia brought that attention and said that told Clark, you're not really the person I thought you were if you stay here and don't help your people. So I really like that. I was like, yes, Octavia, you tell her. I know Clark means well half the time, but sometimes it's just like, what the hell are you doing? It makes no sense why this is happening. So there's that, and my rant, sorry. The next favorite moment that I had, though, was Clark's concern over seeing Murphy beaten up and tied up and unconscious in her room. She even calls him her friend. So it's like, okay, wow. Kind of had me a little thrown back to episode 110 when they first see Murphy, just before that whole bioweapon thing happened. But I wasn't expecting Clark's concern to Murphy, of all people, so I'm really glad to see that. And I hope we see more of a working connection between them, because they definitely haven't been on a good footing between the two of them throughout the whole time they've known each other. So maybe they can redeem that somehow. But I definitely liked it for sure. Next favorite moment, though, for me, you probably won't like it, Clexa fans, but it was the fact that Clark's final goodbye to Lexa on her deathbed was that, was it the Lost Traveler vow? I just remember Kane specifically saying the whole thing out to his mother in episode 109, just as she was dying. And it's basically the long version of the May We Meet Again passage that they all say to their loved ones. I really like that Clark included it, because for them, a good thing about them was that they're each trying to learn each other's different cultures. And the fact that Clark applied her own culture to Lexa, I guess it meant something for Lexa because she was willing to share that part of her. And then also earlier, Lexa was repeating the May We Meet Again when they were originally saying their goodbye. So I don't know, I just really like the fact that she went all out in that, even though it was a sad moment for Clexa fans. But moving on to my top 3 peeved moments, Clexa fans, you're not going to like it. It is Clark and Lexa. Usually, I'm a fan of them. I'm like, okay, it's the thing for them to do now, even though I'm like an Endgame Bellark fan. For Clark and Lexa, I can see that there's an attraction between them. I can see it happening. But I did not like this episode for them because, like I said, normally I'm good with them. I'm good with the progression between them. But I hate the fact that they wait to the very last minute to make a move with each other. I mean, Clark makes a move when she has to leave. Like, when they were saying goodbyes, Clark said that she's leaving now. It's like, okay, that makes sense. And then she purposely moves closer to Lex. I'm like, okay, fine, they're going to kiss with a goodbye. It's set up that way, okay. And I would have been fine with the goodbye kiss. Completely believable to have that, like in 214 when they had that really intense kiss between them. But the fact that they had sex with each other afterwards, that is what bugs me, because it's just logistics, because Clark said she had to leave now. and yet she had time to have sex with Lexa. I mean, yeah, it's like if she had said, I'm leaving in a bit, and then they had sex, then like, okay, that makes more sense. But the fact that she said, I'm leaving now, no, just have your goodbye kiss, say your goodbyes, say may we meet again, there's a timer, and then just leave. It's like, I know it's a stupid thing to be pissed over, but it's bugging me. The fact that she said now, and yet it wasn't now. It ended up being however long it took them to have sex. So it's like, okay. So it doesn't mean you have to leave now. So there's that. And another peeved moment for me was the fact that we didn't get to see Bellamy. I mean, I think this is the first episode that we don't see any Bellamy. He's usually in every episode, at least in some capacity. So it's like, it was a little weird not seeing him. And even though Bellamy's kind of on a dark road that I'm not liking, as long as he's siding with Pike, still would have liked to see him, for sure. But it was weird. So what moment will I remember most when I look back on the episode? The fact that we got a history from Polaris and what happened with them, and also Lexa's death, for sure. So moving on, random questions. First is that, is Clark going to consider herself cursed? I mean, she first slept with Finn, who later on died, and then she slept with Lexa, and now she's dead. So, I mean, is that going to become like a thing for her, a trope? Because it really reminds me of Sam Winchester from Supernatural. And basically, all the fans tease... Hold on. So basically, with Sam, all the fans tease the fact that every woman that Sam sleeps with ends up dead, either shortly afterwards or sometime in the future they are dead because of... And they usually associate with the fact that because they slept with Sam, their fate is sealed. I think there's only one girl he slept with that is still alive in the universe of Supernatural. So I'm just wondering, are they going to do the same thing with Clark? Because that's going to really suck for the girl. Well, I guess Nyla is still alive, so I guess she's kind of safe. But if they killed her off too, then like it seems like that's a thing, because like you know what they say, once is a mistake or two is a coincidence or something like that. It's just I'm wondering if they're going to go down that route, or if Clark is going to think that now with her mentality and all that, because now that's the second person that she's lost that she's loved, or she could have loved, as it were. Next question. With the reveal of that AI chip thingy being inside Lexa's neck, does that mean that Lexa herself was an artificial intelligence? Or was it that Lexa was her own person, and then when she got named the commander, then that kind of that addition to the AI chip in her only enhanced who Alexa was? Is that how it's supposed to be? I mean, was that why she was more aligned to go outside of the norm of what it meant to being a grounder in the culture or something? I don't know. It's just that whole AI chip coming out of Lexa's neck completely threw me. I don't know if that affects who Lexa was as a person, or if it just made her better in certain aspects. It's just like, whoa, okay. No clue. But next question. Since Clark never showed to meet with Octavia, we know why, Lexa's death and all, but Octavia doesn't. So, will this affect how Octavia views Clark later on? Because she even said that if Clark doesn't show, then she's not the woman that Octavia thought she was. So I'm sensing, because she didn't show, there's going to be a huge rift between the two of them. And I'm wondering if you guys think that too. So moving on to predictions. Based on the very quick promo I saw after the episode for 308, it looks like there's going to be an uprising in Arcadia. Pike, Kane, Harper, Bellamy, whole bunch of other people are going to get mixed up in who's on whose side when it comes to leadership, a rebellion of sorts maybe. I wonder if this is meant to be happening along the same lines of what happened in this episode, kind of if it was meant to be like parallel time and everything, like since we got 307 taking place in Polis and all that happened, then is the meanwhile part supposed to be what's happening in Arcadia. This is what 308 is going to show us. I'm wondering if that's the case. But moving on to overall predictions, the new commander is going to be named, and I think it might be Antari, that Nightblood that was under the Ice Queen's inner circle. It's either Antari, I'm thinking, or it's that missing eighth night blood that Lexa didn't want to talk about with Clark in regards to her back tattoo when she got on Ascension Day. The fact that they mentioned, I think it's going to come back later on, or maybe that's meant to be Antari, or if it's someone else. No clue. I mean, we still don't even really know how long Lexa's been a commander for and how old she is. So, who knows if Antari was meant to be in the same Nightblood class as Lexa or not, or if she's meant to be in Aiden's class of Nightbloods. So, there's that. Also, I don't think this is the last we'll see of Lexa. And that's probably why I didn't get any more emotional with her death in this episode, because I saw a lot of behind-the-scenes photos of Eliza and Alicia, Clark and Lexa, on set together. And it seemed like they looked like they were in the City of Lights from the looks of it, because it definitely looked like too modern of a setting for Lexa in grounder gear to be placed in. So I really don't think it's the last of Lexa we'll see, and that's probably why I'm not as emotional over her death. So there's that. Also, another prediction, I really hope that Clark and Murphy have to work together and form some kind of partnership. Not to the extent that what Bellamy and Clark got, but just an understanding or some working to the point that they don't want to try to kill each other. So there's that. So and that's about it. So that's about it for predictions. But alright guys, I was going to forget to do this, but top 5 favorite episodes, let's check the list again. So, last week, as we can see, those were my standings, but this week, episode 307, for a ship-oriented, or orientated, however you want to say it, it seems that episode 307 is now going to be the new number 4. Coming in because of the whole Clark and Lexa bit. Sure, they made a move and they got things hashed out, but it's also because of the goodbye between them as well. We're on both senses, the temporary one and the final one. So, spot number 4 for them. On the non-ship focus, 307 comes in at number 5 because of the flashbacks. So yeah, it's definitely going to put it there for sure. As we can see, a few others got knocked out. So we'll see next week where 308 lies on my scale of top 5. But that's it, everybody. So what did you guys think of the episode? Did you like what you saw? Was it what you expected at all? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it, as well as your own top 5 if you want to do that and share with me. I'd love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Also, share this with anyone else that you believe is a fan of the 100. Let's build up the viewership for this show. So that will be great. I do apologize if I happen to be posting this later than usual. A lot of deadlines this week for me in the real world. I had to really focus on those, but I wanted to record this at least, so at least my thoughts were still in place. So also check out my Tumblr page for link for those will be down below, both for all the master list for all 100 related tags, as well as for this episode specifically. I usually reblog sneak peeks, web promos, episode synopses, gifs, quotes, all that stuff. Little behind still, I'm still catching up with Tumblr, but you can pretty much find everything there as easily as possible. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you guys come back next week to see what I have to say about episode 308. Until then, this is Mel wishing you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.